You think he deserves to be let out of prison?
Charles Manson, for one thing, I don't believe is guilty of the crimes he's been accused of. But that's a whole other issue.
You're kidding.
Well, how much do you really know
How much
about
do you know
all of
about
these
Charles
things that
Manson?
you're
How
talking
much
about?
do you know about Hitler?
Well,
how much do you know about
now,
anything?
wait a minute. Zena, Charlie has pretty well made his philosophy known. I mean, he's spoken clearly and openly. And there's no denial on his part of his role in the Tate LaBianca murders, that he sent those people in that house to commit a bloodbath.
Where'd you hear that? I can...
Something, Charlie. Why do people murder? Why did those girls murder for you? Why did Texas...
They didn't murder for me.
You told them to.
No. Come back, D.A. Come back. That's not reality.
What is?
No, reality is they did what they did. They're responsible for their own actions. I'm responsible for my actions.
Ever kill anybody?
I've come awful close a few times.
Come on, didn't you, Charlie?
What do you mean, come on, didn't you, man? I ain't lying to you. If you think I'm lying to you, you're wasting my time and your time.
Okay, let's not lie. Let's be
There's
clear.
no reason
Let's
to.
be straight.
There's no reason
What
to.
are you guilty of then?
I'm guilty of, what am I guilty of? I'm guilty of thinking that I had rights in a courtroom. That's what I'm guilty of thinking. When my fathers died in all them other wars, I thought, man, I just stand in the courtroom and tell the judge it'd be all over 15, 20 minutes. I'm busy. I got some appointments. And it started making money. And when it started making money, whoa, money takes precedence. They're going to put me down on the ground for the money. As long as they make the money, they don't care who did it.
Blue Moon Wiccan Theory.
It's witchcraft. I'll say that right now.
The sheriff's information was based, apparently, on a deputy's quick reading of a since-debunked website that deals in witchcraft and conspiracies.
It had no basis in fact, and it was just baffling that the sheriff went off on that tangent. You have to look at the sheriff's theory in the perspective of the day he made his announcement that Donald was a suspect and that it was a Wiccan witchcraft type murder was also when he had his first fundraiser for his re-election campaign. The sheriff made lots of headlines, got a lot of publicity, and effectively helped his campaign considerably.
Ouija board is what made the defendant do it.
The Ouija board made him go overboard, though.
The what? I'm sorry?
A Ouija board.
People were scared of him. They thought he was a witch.
In the end, the prosecution's strongest evidence was the discovery of Hartug's DNA on his brother's checkbook, his belt, and those telltale cigarette butts, including the one in the trash.
Why so much focus on the cigarette butt in the trash? Because it's bad for them. It is beyond a reasonable doubt bad for them. And the whole point is this: it shouldn't be there. It is smack dab in the middle of cleanup, of cooking and murder.
But throughout the trial, family members said Hartung seemed unfazed about the evidence against him.
Several times he would turn around and look at us. Several times he would turn around and smile, like a smirk, like I'm gonna get out of this.
May it please the court, members of the prosecution, members of the jury.
You need to know your juries. You can't come across as some hotshot TV lawyer.
But Michael Griffith did not hesitate to call into question the tactics used against his client in those two interrogations by Detective Matt Infinger.
Well, I promise you this, I'm going to find out.
I know
And
you will.
if you did it, I'm going to find out and I'm going to put your ass in jail.
He was brutal to Mr. Hartung, trying to break him down after learning that his family had been murdered.
And Griffith questioned why the prosecution even played the clip showing Hartung being questioned about the later debunked Blue Moon Wiccan theory.
I was explaining to you about the Wiccan ritual. They cover them to keep them warm after they kill them.
I don't know nothing about no ritual like that. If the state wasn't relying on this Wiccan killing theory, why did they show it to you? Why did they introduce it? They didn't have to introduce it. I suggest to you they put it in to try to offend you, get you upset.
There's absolutely no evidence of that.
Approach, counsel. Members of the jury, you're to disregard any prior reference to the state's motivation.
And then the biggest hurdle for the defense, the DNA evidence.
Could Richard have left his checkbook at home on the dining table? and Donald moved it one day and gotten his DNA all over it? Sure he could have. The fact that his DNA is on that checkbook doesn't mean that he's a killer.
As the jurors left to begin their deliberations, some of them gave Hartung a close look, and he seemed to have returned the looks too.
And he was smiling at them. He's creeping the jury out. They were scared. The women were looking at him like, what is wrong with him? You know, why is he smiling at us?
The jury was out for 4 hours.
All right, members of the jury, it's my understanding you've reached a verdict. Have you reached a verdict?
In the circuit court in Forest, Gammon County, Florida, state of Florida plaintiff versus Donald Wayne Hartung, defendant. We, the jury, find the defendant, Donald Hartung, guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment.
When they said guilty, I was just crying, just holding my head down. Finally, it took 4.5 years to get here. So long.
Donald Hartung showed no emotion, but the smile was gone.
Very disappointed, stoic as he is, but very, very disappointed.
I come up to you and you tell me this story and I say, I don't believe you. How do you react? What do you do?
I just say, well, that's your right not to believe it. But someday, if you see something or you hear something from somebody else, just remember what you heard from me.
If we were lying, I don't think we would come up with such good lies.
Are you telling us the truth?
If this isn't true, I mean, you can do anything you want with me, but it's true.
So sad. Let's go now to the McMartin preschool parents who have gathered for us in Los Angeles. You recall that case, notorious case. I must state for the record, however, that the charges against most of the defendants have been dropped. Charges are still pending against 2 of them, however. We know that the parents and the children allege child abuse. What is much less known is that they say it was ritual abuse as part of a satanic cult. Whoever is the designated spokesman there, please tell us why you believe this was part of a ritual cult, abuse as part of a satanic cult.
Well, the easiest reason to that question, Geraldo, is the fact when the children started talking, they started talking about robes and candles. They described an Episcopal church. And once they started narrowing that down, you could see that it had to be satanic. It's very important in satanic religions to have a priest because they truly do believe in power. The difference only between Catholicism and the Episcopal religion is almost done. They both use wine, they both use bread, and so on. The truth about Satanism is they truly do use blood, and they mix it with urine, and then they also use the real meat, the real flesh. This is what makes Satanism true, and this is what 1,200 molested kids in the city of Manhattan Beach have told the Sheriff's Department, and it's an outrage that we are where we are with this case, and these poor unprotected kids that have, that's a third of the school system in the city of Manhattan Beach has been molested. We have 8 preschools closed here. This is the child molestation capital of the world. We have more preschools closed in this city than any city this side of Detroit, and I'm not picking on Detroit.
If you wrong me, however you wrong me, I will give you that same wrong back.
But if someone is physically striking you with their fist or hitting you with a steel rod, there is no question in anyone's mind you're being wrong. But in the abstract, and this is what we get back to earlier, it seems that you reserve the right always to determine who is the wronged party by your natural brute instincts.
Yes,
and what I'm
do.
saying
That's right.
is that the Bible tells us that the heart is deceitful and wicked, and who can know it? And common sense tells us that we all have been mistaken at some point in our lives, assuming that we were the wronged one, when in fact we may have been the person hurting someone else.
The Bible teaches us to hate our own instincts. The Bible is a guidebook to how not to survive. The hero of the Christian religion is someone who willingly sacrificed themselves. Now, to me, someone who willingly dies on a cross and thinks that's a victory is a neurotic person. I don't worship such a God. So if you want to sacrifice yourself, go ahead. We want to live. And
First, can people be good without God?
Well, it's a double-edged sword because
how do you gauge good? You gauge good by morality. If there's a good, there's an evil. So you have to have God in the equation to properly define good. But if they're talking about good works, here in New York, I saw a gentleman help somebody with their stroller up the steps, and did he know God? I don't know. So it's possible to do good things, but at the same time, you can't divorce what actually is good from God when we look at the biblical definition of good.
What do you think, Pastor Mitchell?
Well, I think biblically, people are created in the image of God. And whatever your theology is concerning a fall or depravity, I think those are only layers on an inherent goodness. So from a more progressive Christian position, I believe in inherent union with God. So I think the question of can they be good without religion, perhaps, but I don't think people are ever good without God because people are always with God, created in God's image.
I say, but one of the things that people say, like an apologist would say, can you be good without God? Yes, but you can't be good if there's no goodness, if there's no God on which a standard of goodness. I mean, do you believe that?
I do believe that there is a moral, objective truth. I think there is a God, and I think that God has ideas about how life should be lived. And I think those ideas are basically what we refer to in your book, Lighthouse Faith, the commandments. These are inherent, not just in a Judeo-Christian structure, but almost ubiquitously in all religions. Somehow this is embedded in the fiber of humanity created in God's image.
Weekly church attendance is actually down. I think it's about 36%. I want to put up the poll, too, because the Pew survey, it said, is it necessary to believe in God to be moral and have good values? It says 56% of the people say it's not necessary, and 42% of the people say it's necessary. We've got a church attendance that's down to really about 36% on average across all religions. You've got, women who go to church more, or even, I'm talking about all the Muslims, Hindus, Buddhism, Judaism, all of them. It's about average 36%, women more than men. So is this part of the reason we're seeing this sort of decline in no really understanding of what it means to be good or good without God or good with God?
Well, from my perspective, we are definitely seeing the culture drift further away from God. And I think the Pew, this article was written in celebration of agnostic, atheist celebrations and celebrating that you can be good and there not be a God. But from a biblical perspective, we know that there are none that are good, no, not one, if we're talking about measuring up against God's standard. And that's the whole point of Christ and the cross and needing that redemption, that salvation. So maybe I take a different view than Stan. I don't think we're inherently good. I think we're inherently predispositioned evil, sin.
Right, from a Christian standpoint, it would say that we're all born into sin. I mean, do you believe that? Do you believe that?
I believe that sin is, for certain, a part of our life. I do not believe Genesis 3 overcomes our base anthropology of Genesis 1. We were created in the image of God. Whatever comes next does not undo that. It simply layers onto that. So my image of God is a prisoner to prison bars that I can definitely reach through and call to Christ for help. But it is that original spark of goodness that I think we always retain.
Okay. And Pastor Eidelman?
Well, like Norman Geisler said, our image, God's image in us is effaced, not erased. So the image is marred, is broken, but I would say it's because of sin, because of Adam's fall in Genesis 3 that we take literally. Sin inherited the human race. So all of us are sinners, none that are good, no, not one. That's why we need Christ's redemptive work on the cross.
What is your definition of sin? Because I hear a lot of people saying, sin is when you just kind of miss the mark. What's your definition of sin?
Well, that comes from the Hebrew translation of the word sin, and missing the mark is an arrow shooting. But, boy, I could unpack that for a little while. Yeah. But the short answer, sin is we're not able to live up to God's standard because we're sinners. We don't have the capacity to be in right relationship with God. So that Christ, the cross, the redemption, that bridges that gap, and now we can stand in righteousness before God because of what Christ did. So my definition would be all have sinned and fallen short. Sin is to miss the mark, but I don't want to minimize that term either. It's to be in rebellion against God.
And your definition?
Moral unhealth. I think that God does indeed have standards, but all of those are advantageous. They're not grievous. God doesn't shoot bullets at our feet like court jesters to get his jollies. God gives us things, just like we give our children, that are healthy or unhealthy. And if we abide by those things, our lives are better.
Okay. I want to thank you so much.
And so there was a belief in God, and it was defined primarily by the Bible, so there was a kind of cultural morality that survived a long time in America, and it was showing up in elections 20 years ago, 15 years ago. There was still a consensus. We remember the moral majority, the religious right. They were still able to get people elected, still able to have some clout and some power. Let me tell you something. Gone. Gone. No more. There is no more cultural Christianity. There is no collective Christian consensus that is going to have any power in this country whatsoever. In fact, the more distinctly Christian we are, the more we will be labeled as extremists, bizarre, alien, homophobic, intolerant, guilty of hate crimes. Cultural Christianity is, as we know it, that kind of consensus coming from a biblical understanding is gone.
I mean, you mean actually the voters, you mean the people who elected you, the sovereigns of this nation? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Tell me about the 50 million hogs again, Joey. You want to kill 50 million people to save the tree?
Come on. You see what I'm saying? All you're doing is you're looking for blood, you're looking for fear, you're looking to sell death, you're looking to sell...
But you seem to have a peculiar fascination with
No. Here's
that seems to be all of you.
Let me give you this line. I'll give you the line of that. I'll give you the line in that thought right now. Since the Europeans came to this country, they have cut all the trees, they have butchered all the lakes, they've destroyed all the creeks, everything's turned into cement, they're tearing all the rainforest down, there'll be no wildlife left on the planet Earth. So if I'm standing out in the middle of the desert and I get out of jail and I see the desert's dying, the bees are dying, the birds can't live, the trees are dying, the smog is killing everything, and I say, wow, where's my life on this planet? Can I survive on this planet Earth? That's what I'm working for. I'm working for my survival on that piece of dirt. It took me 20 years to get out of these guys penitentiaries, to get down on that ground. Now that I'm on that ground, I'm thinking about surviving on that ground. I don't care about your society. The public's a bunch of assholes. When it comes down...
Number 6, Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires. Zena?
A psychic vampire is someone who drains you of your vital energy, someone who is constantly looking to you for their support and for their energy. Responsibility to the responsible means if you demonstrate that you have a certain amount of responsibility, you will gain that much more responsibility. Your actions are rewarded by what you achieve or what you acquire, rather than being siphoned off to someone who hasn't deserved them.
You know, Zena, before there was any Nobel Prize for Mother Teresa, and really before most anyone knew who she was, I visited her home for the destitute and dying in Calcutta, and I saw the poor people laying there in the throes of death. I saw her comforting them, touching them, giving them what food and water they needed. Those, by your definition, were psychic vampires because they could give nothing back.
And you don't think Mother Teresa had some ulterior motive
No.
that she wanted these people to...
I really don't.
You don't think she wanted them to see her point of view?
No. As a matter of fact, these
don't
people
think
could
she
not.
did,
I don't
actually.
think. As a matter of fact,
Because most missions or missionaries want to convert people. They want people to see
save
their...
souls. Isn't that what Christianity
That's
is
a
designed
presumption
to do?
I think that you people have made, but
Well,
you're
I think it
you're
goes
talking,
deeper
I
than
think
that.
You found out that you weren't going to the gas chamber.
You're talking about dying. Now, it gets me nervous.
Why?
Did you have any thoughts about something? Was you wanting to go anywhere?
Were you happy when you found out you weren't going to go to the gas chamber, Charles?
I knew I wasn't going to go to the gas chamber because I hadn't done anything wrong.
You scared to die?
Sometimes I feel I'm scared to live. Living is what scares me. Dying is easy. Getting up every day and going through this again and again is hard. See, I'm carrying a heavy thought. See, the thought I'm carrying is very heavy. Like I'm on a football team, and everybody's. I'm a little guy. I don't have no home team. You got all the home. I got one cheerleader or one coach. See, you got me at a disadvantage because I'm on your ground. See. So, and this is your street, I reckon. You got the cameras and the money and the things.
Asked repeatedly where the idea to do it came from. Well, it goes back to someone that I interviewed for our special last spring on murder and the frightening fascination verging on adoration that so many people felt for this person. A murderer who would have us believe that he is the incarnation of the devil. Here's Charles Manson.
Okay, I killed everybody since day one. I've murdered them all. I'm God and I've killed everybody.
Or the devil.
Oh, the devil, yeah, you can use the word devil or demons or whatever you want to call it.
Mostly the devil in your world, ain't you?
Well, okay, I'll play. There's no game I can't play. There's no game I haven't played.
You are the devil.
Okay, I'll be the devil then.
Along with Hitler, cult leader Charles Manson.
I'm the man in the mirror, guy.
I know, man.
You know, if you like me, I like you. If you don't like me, I don't like you. You swing at me, I'll swing back. You dig? You cut at me, I'll cut you. You know, whatever you point to me, I'll get back to you.
But it's more than that, though, isn't it, Charlie?
Well, sure, I'm in harmony with God. That's just a word. We don't, we use the word God.
Or the devil.
Oh, the devil, yeah, you could use the word devil or demons or whatever you want to call it.
Mostly the devil in your world, ain't you?
Well, okay, I'll play. There's no game I can't play. There's no game I haven't played.
You are the devil here.
Okay, I'll be the devil then.
You like that?
No, I don't like or dislike nothing. I see everything as it is. I like it when I come.
You do a lot of that
I
here?
get my nuts off and then it's okay. You know, other than that, I'm just here.
You got a lot of that going on? What's going on in your life here, Charlie?
What?
What's going on in your life here?
I told you.
Tell the people,
Mike, you just heard what I think about it. What did you think about last night?
The whole speech was dark. The words were dark. The setting was dark. I really looked at it and I thought, my gosh, who wrote this and came up with the venue? Satan? It was just that kind of speech, David, that was, frankly, kind of blood-curdling.
You know, what it is, Tucker, is abortion is religion for the far left, and they are willing to do anything to defend that religion and to force it on everybody else, and that's why they're willing to burn down the court as an institution. You know, they're only for the institution if it does exactly what they say it should do. And let's be clear what...
Who brought the pedophile?
First of all,
hold on.
you have to wear masks.
No, thank you. Who brought the pedophile?
It's not optional.
We want to know.
You're required.
We want to know. Well, we're medically exempt. Thank you, though. Who brought the pedophile? I just want to know.
Story time is actually for children.
It's for, well, then why is the pedophile here?
So if you guys could please...
Why did you, no. We want to know why there's a pedophile here.
We saw videos of what that thing does.
Yeah. Why did you, hey,
it's got videos.
So you allow pedophiles in here?
Do to little children.
Yeah.
You are...
Why did you allow the pedophiles?
On YouTube of what it wants to do to little children.
Why did you bring the pedophile?
I don't understand. I don't understand.
Children.
Yeah, then why would you bring your children to a pedophile?
We're not swearing.
Yeah.
It's not vulgar language.
Hey, you should be ashamed of yourself. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Tell me, what is wrong with you?
Pedophilia.
What is wrong with you? This is sick. This is sick. You guys should be disgusted. Call them. There's a pedophile here with children. Call them. This is disgusting. What the hell is wrong with you people? These poor children. What is wrong with you sick people? Get out of here, you pedophile. Get out of here. You're not safe here. Get out of here.
So, you're not allowed to intimidate the public into doing your will. We have a system. Democratic norms. Remember the phrase? And stop this. You can't intimidate us anymore. Is someone going to say that at some point?
I hope so, because we are at that point. I mean, the idea that you could go out there and threaten these justices, which Chuck Schumer has done by name, threaten them by name over abortion, and now you see all of these other congressmen and senators doing the same thing. They're just trying to hijack the institution to get their religion forced on everybody else. I mean, it is time for the American people to actually have a say. What a concept. The American people have a say in their own government, in their own laws. That's what we're talking about here.
That which is good, that which is beautiful, that which is wonderful. No, Slayer is not wonderful. No, you've never seen anything wonderful. No, Slayer is a man, plays a guitar, a band. But I'm talking about the King of Kings, the King of Glory, the King of Wonder, the greatness of our God, the great I Am, the one who has made all things, controls all things, knows all things. I walk with him. I'm friends with him. See, you're a friend of the devil. You serve the devil. You walk with the devil. I know you invite demons into your life. You're going to walk into a den of demons. But God wants to do a miracle in your life. God wants to set you free. You born again Christian? You love God? Oh no, you love Slayer. I mean, you walk in darkness, I walk in light. We have no fellowship. There's nothing in common. I don't like smoking marijuana. I don't like indulging in alcohol. I don't like looking at these nasty women. You kidding? I love holiness. I love righteousness. I love what is pure and good and right. I want you to see. I want you to see you've been blinded by the God of this world. Satan has blinded the eyes of the unbelieving. And I'm telling you, no, I want you to humble yourself. I want you to see your need for forgiveness. Do you see your sin? I know, man. You're living in sin. That's why I came. I mean, I'm bringing the light to you. You guys live in darkness, and I'm bringing light, truth, that you might see. What? You're living in sin. Swears full of sin, demons, demonic devils.
The whole world is in a thought. The Pope sits in a thought. The handball's in a thought. Everything is in a thought. And I am in the thought of peace on earth.
How do you feel about the fact that you're going to spend the rest of your life there?
The rest of my life where?
Right here.
You guys are poor. You've been living 1,000 illusions, man. The rest of your life where?
In prison.
In prison. What prison? You got a prison in your mind? You see what I'm saying? You're in prison, son. You're the one that's in jail because you think there is such a thing as a prison.